Ellen Diederich is an artist, painter, teacher and author who's been painting professionally since 1985, and she's here with us on Zoom just now. How are you doing?
I'm doing just great. Just pulling my life together every minute, I swear.
Yeah. So how would you describe the style of the artwork that you do?
I am considered a neo-impressionist. It means new impressionism, and I use a lot of brushwork and color.
Ah, that's interesting. And here's the ignorant question, really. What actually is Impressionism? Because I hear it all the time, but I have no idea what it actually means.
Oh, great question. There is realism where you try to make things look like what they are. There is abstract, which is no subjective design, but impressionism is you give the impression of a subject. So it's more about the painting, but you can tell what the subject is.
Ah, well, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been doing it a while.
Yeah. And I take it you enjoy doing artwork, given that you've been doing it since 1985.
I absolutely love doing it. I think that I work so hard. I don't think I would ever work this hard unless I loved it.
Yeah.
But I try to get time for painting every day if I can.
Yeah, definitely. So you've written some books as well, right? Are they about art and painting?
I wrote one art book called Progressive Painting Your Creative Journey, which is all about the process. But the other two books I wrote are children's books, and I wrote Where's Petunia first. Then that's a flower book, and it's full of watercolors.
Ooh.
And it's absolutely beautiful. And then I have my newest book is Samson's Gift, and it's a Christmas story about giving.
Oh, well, I want to hear more about that book. What's the basic premise?
Well, in this book, Samson is a orphan ram, and he gets picked up by another sheep and raised with two other orphans.
Yeah.
And then he sees some shearing going on, and everybody compliments him on his wool. He's a merino lamb, which he's got quite a coat on him, and so he starts to see that as precious.
Yeah.
But when he's a baby, he didn't have much, so he was afraid of the sharp straw. So in this story, he eventually gives his wool, which becomes more and more precious to him, to the baby Jesus at the end. But you learn why he does it, and he grows up, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and do you like writing books about Christmas then?
I've only written one about Christmas.
Yeah.
I mostly like painting, and I had this idea, and I was looking at a couple of my Christmas cards that were very successful, and I was wondering, well, maybe I should do a Christmas book, and then I decided to do it on sheep.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're on the subject of Christmas here, you've got all sorts of Christmas products out on the website, including Christmas cards and all sorts of different art, right?
Yes, I have note cards, and I have different paintings. I have original paintings and reproductions.
Yeah, definitely. And would you recommend that we buy our cards now?
Yeah, my cards are very reasonable. They are $8.95 for 8 cards and 9 envelopes. And right now they're $1 shipping, but I just got, might be $1.25 for a pack pretty soon here.
Yeah, definitely. And the great thing is that they come in multi-packs. So if you're like me and only really give cards to like 6 people, then you save some for next year.
Yes, you can. They're great for travel too. You can put a pack in your purse or bag, and you can write them up and stick them in these nice boxes that they come in and mail them when you get home.
Yeah.
Something like that if you travel a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the designs? What are the designs of, and what do they look like for the Christmas cards?
Well, for the Christmas cards, I have several with snow, and I have one called Sugar Plum Visions. I have Wayzatas. I have some nativity scenes. I have the Three Kings. Those are almost sold out. I have lots of some neighborhoods, different things like that. But I paint mostly florals, architecture, and domestic animals, like you see in the cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
And landscape now.
And when did you start working on these?
Well, I started with a group of cards like in in 1980 that
Oh,
weren't
wow.
very successful. And then we redesigned the cards, and then they're a little bigger. They hold a 4x6 envelope, and they're blank inside, and they have beautiful envelopes and packaging, and they make a nice gift, or they can be great to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are you getting up to this Christmas yourself? Have you got any plans, or have you not sorted it out yet?
Well, there is a show in Fargo. I'm always online. And then I'm from Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah.
So not everybody wants to go there. But I have lots of Fargo cards too that people
Yeah.
love. But for Christmas, I'm prepping. I have a show at the Rourke Museum in February.
Oh.
And it's called Women Loving Water Media. And I'll have 10 of the paintings in the show. And so I'm really focusing on that to look good right now.
Yeah, definitely. So, what would you say are the biggest things that people can learn from reading your books and checking out all your works, really?
My books, they learn a ton from my art book. It's more about I call it my guru psychological techniques I use for paintings. I have a lot on design, basic stuff in my art book.
Yeah.
But in that one, I have all these little things I did get like in the zone or answer questions. I asked all kinds of artists who would never be able to answer those questions. And I put them in there, and it's really interesting, and people like that.
Mm.
And then my flower book is absolutely gorgeous, and it's fun to share with children. And it's just pretty on your coffee table, but it's like you learn the names of flowers, and then there's a flower guide at the end. It's real sweet and fun. And then my Samson book was kind of started on I actually fell asleep because I was thinking about those Christmas cards I told you about.
Yeah.
And I thought I would do something about sheep, and I was wondering what I would write, and I fell asleep, and I woke up, and I remembered this scene when I was in high school on the farm. It was the year of a drought, and we had this great big semi drive in farm, and they had two young guys and the father with a big truck. And I saw those two boys. I thought, boy, they're cute. And I told my mom I had to go change because she wanted me to go help. And she was on to me. I was a lazy kid. I had all kinds of techniques to get out of work, like going to change before I did something. But I was serious. I was going to put on some long pants because we're going to haul this hay off the wagon and get scratched.
Yeah.
Well, I was pretty strong, and I could throw around 35-pound hay bales real easy. But I went in there to help, and there was a straw, and I pulled it off like I could handle it. But it was like a 50-pound bale, and I wasn't expecting it. And I was wearing my shorts because my mom said I couldn't change. And they crashed down into my shins, and they scratched at my leg. And that's when I woke up, and I went, oh, they can't put a baby in the straw. The straw is sharp.
Yeah.
And really, it is kind of sharp. I mean, and so in the book, Samson doesn't want he's born, and this Tadra, the shepherdess, takes care of him. And the first day she has him, he doesn't like to sit on the straw. It's sharp because he hardly has any wool, and he's cold. And then later, he sees these shearers, and he's horrified because all the sheep are scared and running away, and he decides he's going to keep his wool. And he's got a couple of friends that he meets. They're Jacob and Joseph, and they're kind of fun. He leads them all through the wildflowers, and they get wildflowers stuck in their coats. And of course, Joseph has the most colorful coat.
Yeah.
And then Jacob is the cheater when they play the games. But when he finally sees the three kings arrive, and he sees Pedro leads them up to the barn, or whatever you call it. There he sees this baby about to be put in the straw, and he kicks the fence, and he puts his head down, he bows, and Pedro realizes he wants to give the baby his wool. And then he watches that, and he's so happy when he does this, and he doesn't feel the straw prickling at all. But when I did a lot of sheep research, what's pretty interesting is that the first wool sheared off a sheep is the softest, and it's called the lamb's wool. So basically, Samson gave his lamb's wool to the baby Jesus, which is very special, and a beautiful coat. And so I thought that was pretty neat thing to just happen in the process of writing the book.
Yeah, definitely. So, what would you say has been the biggest factor over the years that's helped you become successful?
Wow, when I was, like I said, I was lazy, and then in high school, in college, I got a little more determined, and then I found a book called "The Greatest Secret of the World" by Og Mandino, and his book is based on habits, good habits, and if you have these 10 good habits, you would perform better. And you were supposed to read them 3 times a day, and I actually did that. You read one chapter 3 times a day for 30 days, and you go to the next one, and then so the first one was on love, and putting love into your work and love to other people is huge. And then the second one was on perseverance, and I remember I do portraits on the street at the time, and I was paying my bills with that. I didn't have a job in the summer. And if I didn't go to work, I didn't make money, and if I did go, I might not make any money, or I might make a lot. And so I learned persevere, and I got a lot of good habits that helped me.
Yeah, definitely. So, how did you first start to get interested in making art in the first place then? What was it that kick-started it for you?
Yes, that was a big deal in 7th grade. In high school, and in 9th grade, I had famous art teachers. They're famous now. And the 7th grade teacher was named Rose Edin, and she was from Staples, Minnesota, and she had a painting for gifted students class, and it was a seminar, and she asked me why I didn't sign up, and I was really, really shy, and I said because it said gifted, I didn't think that was good enough, and she said, "Oh no, Ellen, you're the best one," and so that gave me a lot of confidence, and then I took art all the way through, and then I got Russell Norberg, who was an expert at watercolor in 9th grade, and even when I teach today, I teach a lot of the things he taught me.
Yeah.
So I definitely had a good start.
For sure. And were there any famous artists that you look up to, or even just ones that you kind of personally knew?
Oh, I've met so many famous artists. It's really fun. We have a watercolor society here in Fargo, and I get to search for the instructors. And we've had John Selman and Judy Betts, a lot of very famous watercolor artists from here in Fargo. And I take that's helped a lot being on that watercolor society. I have every year we have a national jury show, and then they teach a seminar. So I take seminars from the ones I'm on.
Yeah, definitely. And the actual process of painting, really, can it be quite tricky at times? I suppose if you make one mistake, that's it, and you have to start all over again.
Oh, that's such a good rumor, because all of us artists are perfect. No, I've learned tons of fix-it techniques, because I got a lot of commission work. You start on a commission, and then you don't want to do it over. So I learned how to fix things, and that is a common misunderstanding about watercolor. And then I think acrylic, that's what I'm doing now, is really difficult. And I used to not like acrylic paint, and I've gotten into that. And I think the only reason I can do it is because I can use watercolor as well. But I wreck stuff all the time. The best part about it is I hide it in the closet. I'm not in public. I don't have to show anybody my beds.
Yeah, definitely. And to actually make a picture that you've painted into a Christmas card, how does that work? Do you have to take a picture of it, or, I don't know, scan it somehow?
Yes. I take a lot of photographs of things. Sometimes I paint from life, but I take photos because things change, and it takes maybe 40 hours to paint them. Like animals are sure not going to sit there. But even flowers wilt or change, stuff like that. So I do sketches from the photographs. I rearrange the shapes, so I like the composition. And I do all these things that invite you into the page, and all these techniques I've learned, and how to get the emphasis. And then I draw it out carefully, and then I decide on a color theme, and then I start painting, and then I just have a good time.
Yeah, definitely. And have you ever faced any setbacks in your career?
Oh, There was one time was just awful. I don't know what happened. I think part of it was a change of glasses that was off a little bit, but
Uh,
because I thought I was supposed to wear them with my contacts, but it was wrong. Anyhow, but
yeah.
I was wrecking everything for this. It wasn't like once in a while. And I started something and it was devastating. And I finally called one of my teachers and I was crying and I said, I can't eat it. I wrecked everything. And she said, oh, Ellen, just go outside and paint something simple, like from your garden and just that. So I
Yeah.
went out there and I'm going out there and then I start looking at the stuff I'm creating and I go, oh, this looks pretty good. And then I start, maybe I should turn this into a painting. And then I wrecked that. And I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. So then I decided that I would a warm-up painting just for me. And this was one of my key things to get in my zone. Like I take 5 minutes and I look at a picture without drawing it and I paint really slow because I have to concentrate where to put everything. And I just do a layer of paint and it slows me down and I get in touch with like the humidity of the paper and the water, the timing. And then
Mm.
if I have a sketch completely ready, if I go through it, I can do that. But it took me like 6 weeks to get out of that, but I learned a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say makes your work different from other artists and other authors as well?
Well, okay, my authoring, it's the artwork is the thing
Mm.
mainly. But in the painting, I use a lot of color. I have color themes in my painting.
Mm.
People often tell me that they purchase paint because they love the color, but I have a little whimsy, some fun ideas in there. Like I'm working on one right now of a college for the Rourke Museum. I'm painting the
Mm.
Rourke Museum, and then on the top of it, we're a tri-college area, Fargo Moorhead, where it's State Concordia College and NBSU, and students go back and forth. And so on the top, I put a dragon, a bunch of corn cobs, and a bison on the top of the roof. And then I put animals in the different windows, and I'm going to call that Animal House.
Oh.
And I've got corn leaves falling down and it's an old styled, very interesting post office that was turned into an art museum with columns. And so this really throws a change into that.
Yeah.
But that's an unusual painting. That's like my key painting for my show at the work. But I like to do like alternate subjects. Like I come back to them. So I'm always building on a new thing in my art, and then I try it on a different subject, and it brings me to something different.
Yeah.
But people like the texture and the brushwork. It's real loose. They say I'm considered a loose artist, so it's not real stiff or realistic.
Yeah, definitely. What do you like to get up to in your spare time when you're not doing all this art stuff and writing books?
I love to golf. I'm not a very good golfer, of course. My friends say it's a good thing I paint, but I really enjoy that, and I enjoy gardening. And
Yeah.
I have a new granddaughter, so
Ooh.
it's fun.
Well, where are we able to find the Christmas cards and your books and everything you've done over the years?
Okay, if you go to, you can either go to ellenjeandiederich.com or Divinity, which is like the word giving and divinity together, like with a G, GIVINITY.com. And there, if you click on the gallery, there's 4 sections. You've got cards, books, reproductions, and originals. There's a bio about me. There's all kinds of fun things to look. And my blog is, a lot of people really enjoy my blog. I use my writing every week and write a short blog where I tell the story of a painting, and then I have an art tip related to it.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks very much for coming on the show today. It's been great to have you on.
Thank you, Toby. I appreciate you inviting me on.